20 meters. That's how far you fall from the deck of a large cruise ship down to the surface of the ocean. At that height, you'll hit the water at around 70 kilometers per hour. At that speed, the surface tension of water is no different from reinforced concrete. If you land flat on your stomach or back, the localized impact force can snap ribs, rupture your liver, or tear your lungs apart on the spot. But let's say you get lucky. You fall feet first, knife through the salt water, and come back up in one piece. Everything's fine now, right? Not even close. The worst part is the moment you break the surface, wipe the water from your eyes, and watch that enormous ship coldly leaving you behind. Hey, don't leave me out here. The sound of the engines fades. The lights disappear into the horizon. Even if the crew reacts as fast as humanly possible, the ship is already hundreds of meters away before it can even begin to turn around. From this moment on, your 24-hour fight for survival in the open ocean has officially begun. In the first 10 minutes, you'll face the brutal reality of water temperature. In cold seas, your hands will go numb surprisingly fast, losing all motor function. Even if your mind is still sharp, basic actions like unzipping a pocket, triggering a flare, or holding onto a rescue line become nearly impossible. That's exactly why every piece of survival gear, such as a whistle, a strobe light, or a personal locator beacon, needs to be attached directly to your body, not neatly packed away in a bag sitting on the deck. But that's exactly what you did. So now what? Then you remember, you're wearing a life jacket. Unfortunately, a properly rated life jacket can change the game, but it doesn't make you invincible. If you're conscious and can swim, you're in decent shape. But if the jacket's buoyancy is strong enough to automatically flip you onto your back, even when you're unconscious, the life jacket itself becomes your biggest obstacle. On top of that, if it's too loose, it can slip right off you. If the straps are too slack, waves keep slapping you in the face. And if you want to know what that feels like, just ask someone to slap you over and over again. At this point, the risks start stacking up fast. Constantly treading water drains your energy, speeds up heat loss, and pushes you toward total exhaustion far sooner than you'd expect. Assuming the life jacket is working properly, your next goal is fighting heat loss. What you need to do is stop stretching your body out and kicking your legs constantly. Pull your knees up toward your chest, press your legs together, and keep your arms tight against your sides. This is called the H.E.L.P position, and it protects the areas of your body that lose heat the fastest. However, this position only works if your life jacket is keeping your head above water. Without one, curling up actually reduces your ability to float. If there are other survivors nearby, grouping together increases your chances of being spotted and helps preserve body heat. But in this scenario, you're completely alone. 30 minutes pass. This is when your mind starts filling with images of sharks. A dark shape gliding beneath you is enough to send your heart into a panic, but large predators are rarely the most immediate threat. Rough seas, cold water, physical injury, and exhaustion are far more likely to kill you. Of course, the ocean isn't harmless. Jellyfish and curious fish can still find you, especially if there's blood in the water. Even so, thrashing around wildly because you're imagining sharks circling, you will only mess up your breathing and burn through your energy faster. After an hour, how your survival scenario plays out depends heavily on where you're drifting. In the freezing waters of the north, the battle centers on preventing muscle paralysis from hypothermia. In the tropics, the sun becomes a new enemy. Your face and shoulders are at risk of severe sunburn. Salt crystals sting and crack your lips, and the glare reflecting off the waves constantly assaults your eyes. The heat bakes you even while you're submerged, and thirst begins to set in. How quickly dehydration takes hold depends on temperature, wind, injuries, and how much you're moving. But one survival rule never changes. Do not drink seawater. The salt concentration in seawater exceeds what your kidneys can process. To flush it out, your body is forced to pull from its already depleted water reserves. Drinking seawater only tricks you into feeling relief for a brief moment, then drives you rapidly toward exhaustion, confusion, and severe dehydration. The same rule applies to urine, which is full of the salts and waste products your body just worked hard to get rid of. What about rainwater? Rain is a lifesaver, but tilting your head back and opening your mouth is an incredibly inefficient way to collect it. Instead, use a rain jacket, a piece of fabric, or floating debris to funnel water into any container you can find. Keep in mind that every surface around you is coated in salt, so let the rain rinse everything off for a few minutes before you start collecting clean water. All of this requires immediate action. If you wait until the rain is already pouring before scrambling to find something to catch it with, you've already missed your window. And if it doesn't rain, don't fall for the online advice that tells you to catch a fish and suck fluid from its eyes. Catching a healthy fish with your bare hands in the middle of the ocean is pure fantasy. And even if you managed it, the amount of fluid you'd get is tiny and far from clean. Food only really matters when you're safe on a raft. In the first 24 hours, hunger is not what will kill you. Humans can go a very long time without food, but will die quickly without air, warmth, or water. The most valuable energy you have right now is the energy you don't waste. 4 hours in. Fatigue starts eroding your ability to think clearly. Waves keep breaking your breathing rhythm, and every few minutes you're choking down another mouthful of salt water. If seasickness hits and you start vomiting, you're not just losing more fluid, you're also risking airway obstruction from spasms. This is why exhausted people can still drown while wearing a life jacket. The device keeps you afloat, but it cannot keep the waves out of your face. Say you accidentally inhale water. Don't believe the myth that only fresh water destroys lung tissue while salt water is somehow safer. The reality is far more brutal. Both types cause serious lung damage, destroying the tiny air sacs, triggering inflammation, and cutting off oxygen exchange. What kills you isn't the salt content of the water. What matters is how long your brain and vital organs have been cut off from oxygen. Time underwater is always more merciless than where the accident happened. Night falls. Despite any expectations of a warm, tropical sea, invisible winds relentlessly strip heat from your soaking wet body. Darkness erases the horizon, blending sky and ocean into one solid black mass. You can no longer see the waves until they crash directly into you. The isolation begins producing physical hallucinations. You hear phantom engine sounds. Distant stars start looking like rescue lights. Your exhausted brain reshapes whitecaps into the silhouettes of boats or islands, urging you to swim toward those mirages. Staying calm actually produces results. Blow your whistle when you spot any sign of rescuers, because sound travels far and costs far less energy than screaming. Activate your strobe light at night. Hold up any reflective material during the day, or use a signal mirror. A single flash of reflected light has the power to catch someone's eye from a shocking distance. Stop yelling into the void and save your strength for the moments that count. By the 10th hour, your muscles have seized up. The straps of the life jacket have been sawing into your neck for hours, and skin that's been soaking this long turns soft, pale, and raw. The constant assault of salt, wet fabric, and friction creates open sores on your feet, inner thighs, and underarms, opening the door to infection. How quickly your skin breaks down depends on the environment, temperature, and what you're wearing. Just before sunrise, you hear the sound of an aircraft. From the air, you are nothing but a tiny dot swallowed up by an endless expanse of waves, easy to miss even when a rescue worker is looking directly at you. That's exactly why a brightly colored life jacket, reflective tape, or a personal locator beacon is worth more than any dramatic survival hack you've ever read about. You wave your arms, you flash your light, you blow your whistle, the aircraft changes course, you've been spotted. But the danger still isn't over. After hours in cold water, being pulled straight up vertically can cause a sudden drop in blood pressure that makes survivors collapse right there and then. They need to be lifted horizontally, warmed gradually, and given immediate medical attention to address complications like water aspiration, infection, and electrolyte imbalances. So, can you survive 24 hours adrift at sea? Yes. History has proven that many people have lasted far longer. But survival time doesn't follow a fixed clock. A serious injury from the initial fall can end everything within minutes, while a covered raft with a locator beacon can stretch hope for survival into weeks. The ocean doesn't run the same script for everyone. Your physical condition, the gear you have, the weather, and most critically, whether anyone knows your last known coordinates are the factors that actually determine whether you make it. The most effective survival strategy always begins before you ever leave the dock. File a float plan, wear your life jacket, keep your signaling devices on your body, and stay away from unguarded railings. Once the ship has disappeared from sight, no amount of clever tricks can make up for being unprepared. But if you ever truly find yourself alone in the middle of the ocean, hold these survival priorities close. Control your breathing and keep your airway above water. Preserve your body heat and your energy. Make yourself as visible as possible by any means necessary. Never drink seawater. And never burn your last reserves chasing a mirage. In that fight for your life, the line between blind panic and a clear-headed response is the exact same line between being pulled out alive and vanishing without a trace.